Welcome back to Parks and Relaxation, day 6 of our 30-day cross-country road trip. We started the day at about 7 in the morning, leaving the campsite that was right between Grand Teton and Yellowstone. On the bright side, Yellowstone was only about 4 minutes away from where we're camping. We came in from the south entrance. Admission into the park for one day is $35. We happen to have an annual pass that was $85 for all national parks. We highly recommend that. The name of the pass is called America the Beautiful, and you can find it online. This lake is only about 5 minutes into the park on the left, coming from the south entrance heading north. A few miles farther up the road is Lewis Falls. There's plenty of parking for this, and you can actually walk a trail right to the falls. We decided just to stay pretty close to the road. The water here was freezing cold, and we had decided to wear pants, sweatshirts, and all sorts of stuff. Is quite a bit different from being hot only a few hundred miles more west. Elevation in the park is anywhere from like 8,000 feet to 13,000 feet, so even in the middle of summer it can be quite chilly. We looked on our phones when Old Faithful was going to be going off and found some parking. Got there about 15 minutes ahead of time and waited for the show.
That's so cool. That's great.
After exploring the area for a few minutes and hitting the gift shop, it was back on the road, heading towards the Grand Prismatic Spring. Parking for the Prismatic Spring was kind of difficult. We did have to walk probably a good quarter to a half mile. The parking area is very small, and if you have an RV, you're definitely going to have to park on the road and just walk up the road. It was strange because as we followed this river over to the Prismatic Spring, there's boiling water pouring right into it, along with fishermen catching fish right out of that water. The cold breeze has created quite a bit of steam and fog coming right off from the water. If you look close in this video, you can actually see it boiling. What you just saw is actually birds flying through all the steam. We were lucky with the weather because of the bright sunlight. You could see all the different colors. And it was amplified the farther you went into the park. There's actually hoof prints through most of these springs and geysers. The bison will come right through. There's warning signs everywhere telling you that you need to stay on the path, And actually, while we were here, somebody had to be airlifted out because they didn't listen and got burnt, and it was in the news. We were all trying to figure out why the ambulances were down the road. Well, on the news later, we figured out why. If you have time, there's actually a hiking trail on the hill you could see across from us. It's a few hour hike, but you can get a view from right above everything instead of being ground level. This portion of the park we spent probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The path is pretty flat and very wide. It's not very difficult. Anybody would be able to hike it. About an hour northeast in the park is canyons. There's actually a campground here that was closed, but you can still access the views. This portion does require a little bit of hiking, and I think there's 100 steps in the stairs to get up and down into the canyon to get these views. We were surprised to find snow caps still on some of the mountains and leading down into the water. Again, this is mid-June and we're all wearing sweatshirts and pants. It was only about 65 degrees, where other parts of the state it was about 90. We were able to see quite a bit of wildlife. Over those waterfalls, you could see eagles. We had found a few buffalo in a pasture as we were driving by, and of course there was no parking for an RV, so I dropped everybody off and then walked back up. But they were able to get within probably 100 yards, which is about as far as you want to be anyway. You're not supposed to get too close to these things. We're also able to see plenty of antelope, elk. We did see a black bear, but we didn't catch any on video. He actually walked right out in front of us as we were turning down a back road. This bison was right on the side of the road, and we were able to walk pretty much up to it, but there was a fence between us, so it was a little safer. I think there's a video in a minute of him actually chomping away. Bison can run 3 times faster than humans, so you don't want to get too close. People get mauled all the time. In the course of our trip, there were 3 different articles online about how people got mauled by bison. Yellowstone is meant to be done in probably a week if you want to do every single hiking trail and stop everywhere. We did it in about 8 hours just doing the major stops. One thing we did miss out on was Mammoth Hot Springs. By the time we got there, it was just so busy and the parking was so far away, we decided to skip it this time. But there's hot springs all throughout the park. We were able to stop at 5 or 6 different locations and get video and pictures. I don't know if I'd want to camp near Mammoth Hot Springs because it smells really bad.
I feel like all the fog, I'm pretty sure it's all like steam.
By around dinner time, we started making a plan of what we're going to do for camping this night. We end up finding free camping in Montana. As you come up through Yellowstone, you go from Wyoming into the state of Montana. We grabbed some pizza in Bozeman. The name of the free camping was Homestake Pass, Whitehall, Montana. We were able to make camp by about 8:30 at night where it was still light, and it's actually at a trailhead for a bunch of four-wheeling, and there's people that kind of have like seasonal camps right on the top of this mountain. I'm going to show you a drone footage of that in the beginning of next video, because technically I didn't take the footage till the next day. The drive through this area is absolutely beautiful. Everywhere you look, there's rivers, streams, mountains, big open skies. Driving through the park is pretty easy with a Class C RV. It's all made for tourists, and even the tightest roads were pretty wide compared to what we got into later in the trip. The main takeaway that we found in Yellowstone is there's actually wildlife everywhere. You might be driving by at 60 miles an hour, but if you stop and look, there's bison hidden in all the fields and all the woods. It's actually pretty crazy. This park has so much to offer, and we only had about 8 hours of daylight to do it. We plan on coming back and spending a week here and do every trail and every section of the park. But for now, it's time to move on. We have lots of other places to go. For anyone wondering, the drive from the end of the park to where we camped for free is about 2.5 hours. The total trip was about 5.5 hours of driving this day. So you'll definitely want to get up early if you're going to try to do the exact same trip. I hope you enjoyed this leg of our journey. If you want to follow us, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm going to end us on a couple pictures of our campsite way in the top of the mountains. Remember, don't wait, venture today.